Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 45. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Steve Rodgers. He's a business and a lifestyle consultant as well as an author. He has a knack for bringing out the best in people. Hello Steve.
Hi, how are you, Patience? Nice talking with you.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay. I know the clan here is anxious to hear about your story. So let's get started with the basics. Let's tell my clan a little bit about your background, what you did before you were online. Take us right up to the last job or business you were online.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Well, I started out in the hotel restaurant industry in my late teens and early 20s, but I phased out of that hospitality industry into the real estate business, which ended up becoming a really good vehicle for me to meet a lot of people, help a lot of people, and create some good wealth during the time of being in real estate. I was in sales, and then I went from sales to management. And during my largest period of growth from 1994 up through 2008, almost 15 years, I was with a company called Prudential Real Estate in Southern California. And I started with that company as a real estate manager. And over a 15-year history, I moved up the food chain, as they say. And I went from being a manager to a regional manager to a vice president to a president to the COO. And eventually I became the CEO of that company. And when I started with that company, we only had around maybe 10 real estate offices, 12 real estate offices, or something like that. And we had around 400 salespeople. But at our peak, when we kept growing over the years, we had grown up to about 110 real estate offices in all of Southern California, and we had about 5,000 salespeople. So it was a very large organization. We had title and escrow and mortgage services. And in 2001, that was a franchise under the Prudential system. That company, the franchise, got sold to Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett, everyone knows who he is. I ended up working under the Warren Buffett company called Home Services of America that owned the Prudential franchise system for Southern California. And I've had the honor of meeting Mr. Buffett and being part of his organization and meeting a lot of his executives and receiving executive leadership and training. And so that was quite the journey. And many know how the real estate market has its ups and downs. And that happened also in the real estate space for us as a large company. I left that firm in 2008 and I started my own company. And I had my own real estate firm in San Diego for 5 years. We got it up to about 8 real estate offices and had around 400 salespeople, and became the fifth largest real estate brokerage in San Diego in a short period of time. And I decided that I wanted to do something different with my life. I had a few things happen with my wife's health, who ended up in the hospital and came near-death experience. The real estate business had been shifting and changing. We were kind of at a life path change of transition. And about a year to year and a half ago, I decided to break away from the real estate space in a traditional way. And now I've started, as you mentioned earlier, a consulting, coaching, speaking, writing, author business. And much of it I'm doing and promoting online and using online marketing and services and connecting to help fuel that business to go out and help people who are in transition and transformation from to, whatever that might be, from something to something. And so that's kind of what I'm specializing in, basically trying to help people who are looking to transform their lives and transform their business.
Wow, what a journey. That's great, Steve. Okay. What is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
I would say the biggest is allowing fear to leak too far into your soul. And what I mean by that is we all have fear and we all have anxieties and we all have doubts and we all have self-doubts. But I find that those can be healthy if you identify them early on in the process and you take that fear and find a way to break through the fear and turn it into an empowered place. So I think the biggest danger that any entrepreneur can have is the fear leaking into doubt and stopping them into paralysis and allowing them to not take the actions necessary to move their life and their business forward.
Man aside, how would you know you are successful?
I think the way you know you're successful is that you're creating joy and happiness in other people's lives and they're reflecting that back to you. whether that is through people telling you that you've been of value to them in their life, whether it's through online reviews, whether it's through customers that are happy, and hopefully people that are in business, you're doing some kind of customer surveys, or you're doing some kind of analysis where you're trying to reach out and find out if you or your business is being of value. So that's one measure of success. But then in your family life and your friends' life, are you creating joy and success and happiness in the lives of others? And I think if you are doing those and people are telling you how much you're loved or how much you're appreciated or how much you've made a difference in their life, I think that's another measuring stick of the true essence of success.
What reassurance or encouragement have you got for my members of clan who are not quite there yet?
Number one is keep going. Don't give up. Life is full of adventures. And there's lots of processes we all go through. And life is a process. It's not an event. It's not one thing that we go through. And what I have learned on my own path is to enjoy the journey. If you're at the beginning stages as an entrepreneur, or if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or many people are in corporate America looking to switch out of corporate America into becoming a more potentially free, open-minded person in the entrepreneurial world. Or maybe you've been an entrepreneur for a while and you're not quite hitting the milestones that you'd hope, you're not making the money you want. Those are all things we all face challenges with. But I say embrace where that's at and find out and give yourself credit for what you are doing well. And don't forget to give yourself progress reports on what you have accomplished, because we all can get in the day-to-day basis of beating ourselves up and realizing what project we haven't gotten done, what posting we haven't gotten done, what blog we haven't gotten done, what customer we haven't gotten to yet. But sometimes we forget to sit and really do an analysis on how far we've really come. And so I think if you take time to look at your assets of what you have accomplished and who you've helped and what you have accomplished over a period of time, and realize that you have absolutely made a dent in changing your life and others' life, and realize that this is something that will continue forward, and that you really might want to just kind of regroup and realize, don't get too frustrated. Don't beat yourself up too much, but find ways to say, okay, if I'm frustrated and if I'm feeling stuck, what can I do right now to stop, start, or continue something? And I always ask people that question. So right now, what could you stop doing that's no longer serving you, that you could really cut out of your life or your efforts or your activities? Or what should you continue doing that is working really well that you should continue to do more of? And what can you start doing that you have been talking about doing or you've been procrastinating doing that would make a dramatic change in your life or your business? So stop, start, or continue. Those would be some things I think that would help people stay out of frustration and help them stay out of feeling like they're not making the traction that they want.
What is the most valuable thing your mentor has told you?
Believe in my unique gifts as to who I am, and know that there's a whole market and people out there who need to have what I know. And I think that all of us that are out in the world, I don't care if you're in sales in a corporate company, or if you're an employee, or even if you're an online marketer or an online entrepreneur, sometimes we doubt that we realize that what we have is as valuable as it is. And I believe all of us have very much intellectual capital and intellectual knowledge and experiences that someone else can learn from and benefit. So my mentors have told me, don't ever underestimate the trials and tribulations of your journey, and don't ever underestimate how many other people you can help with being transparent and sharing your story.
What is the most valuable thing you've ever given away?
My time.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about your book. Why is your book called The Lead to Gold?
Yes. Well, the name of my company is called Alchemy Advisors. And Alchemy Advisors is really a word that represents to me, and in the dictionary and in life in general, but it really represents a word of transition and transformation and evolution. There's also a phenomenal book that's called The Alchemist that I love, which is by Paulo Coelho. If anyone's read it, I'm sure they appreciate it. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's not a self-help or a how-to or an internet book, but it is a parable of a story of a journey of life about finding your own highest purpose and your own highest mission and your own personal legend. So I chose the name for my company, Alchemy Advisors. And the words that sometimes are talked in alchemy is that the old alchemy in the old days used to be alchemists who had the ability and the magic ability to have formulas to turn lead into gold. So I took the book title and turned from lead to gold to the name of the book. And the subtitle is An Entrepreneurial's Journey Through Transition and Transformation. And it talks about how I've taken obstacles and challenges in my life and turned them into gold. And so that's why I called the book Lead to Gold. So it hopefully will help other people know that sometimes when they're feeling weighed down or heavy with lead, like they've got a lead on their shoulders, that there are ways that you can take that and turn around into something that's more valuable and turn it into something perceived like gold.
When you are doing other companies, you are doing other jobs, do you always wanted to be an author?
You know, I haven't always wanted to be an author because I was a kid in school that didn't get very good grades in writing. So I was always self-conscious about writing because I was really bad in grammar. I was always the kind of kid in school that got A's on my paper for content and for ideas and for the thought. But I remember always getting like C pluses or D minuses or something on my paper for grammar and structure. So I was always kind of very self-conscious about my writing skills. I'm a much better speaker than I am a writer. However, that being said, over the years of being in various positions and having to write letters and memos and articles for being in my positions I was in, I started becoming better at getting my message across. And I've had a blog site for probably 8 or 9 years. And so I've written various blogs. So that got me more comfortable. But I have acquired a lot of friends over the years who are writers. And somehow I ended up attracting friends and mentors and associates who are very successful writers. People like Brian Tracy, some people have heard of, or maybe John Asseroff from The Secret. Marshall Goldsmith, who's a #1 New York Times bestselling author. So I've been able to attract some friends and associates who are great writers, and I was very in awe and envying what their skill was and how they could communicate in writing. So I started probably 8 or 9 years ago thinking about wanting to write a book, and it started becoming in the back of my mind something I wanted to accomplish. And in the last three or so years, it came very much a desire that just kept bubbling up inside of me. And now I've finally written it. You know, it's a 200-page book. It's around 55 or 60,000 words and lots of editing and lots of fine tuning. So I guess I could call myself now a published author very soon here because the book will be out on Amazon in the next week or two.
Okay, wow. Where do we find this book?
Well, it will be on Amazon. Right now, you could go to my website, which is thealchemyadvisors.com. thealchemyadvisors.com, and there's a place where you can enter your email address on there, and it'll give you an update as soon as the book comes out. You can also get a free chapter of the book, and you can also be drawn into an enter to win a free book. And then when once it hits Amazon that day, I'll be sending emails out to everyone that's in my database, letting them know that the book is for sale. On the day of the launch, the book will be dramatically reduced to give everyone an opportunity to buy it at a lower price. So on the day of the launch, the book will be about, I think I'm going to make it at $2.99 versus $13.99. And then they also get a copy of a free Kindle version if they buy the book that day. And then there'll also be some bonuses that they'll get if they buy it on the day of the launch. There's some digital programs from Brian Tracy, from Greg Reed. So I've got some digital programs in there that will add value that they can get additional content besides the book from other friends and associates of mine.
Wow. So, Clan, there will be more from Steve in a moment. If you are finding Steve's journey interesting and you are ready to hear more, come and listen to the full version of the interview at onlinesuccessjourney.com. If you are on Online Success Journey already, click on part 2 of Steve's journey and get some more great tips you can use yourself. And don't forget, you can access all other Online Success Journey interview podcasts on our site as well. So, Clan, that's a wrap. Success is a journey. Patience and Steve join us in part 2 at onlinesuccessjourney.com.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.